Welcome back to The Real Deal with Empire. I'm your host, Ali Fawaz, and today we've got a fantastic episode for you. In fact, if you've ever considered getting into real estate investing, fixing, flipping, maybe building a portfolio of rental properties, you're going to want to stick around for today's episode. Today's guest is someone who knows the business inside and out. Frank Mastroianni. Not only is he a top-tier real estate professional, but he also has deep roots in the construction world. His family owns Italy America Construction, one of the most well-known and reputable construction companies in this area, right? And Frank has taken that legacy and turned it into a thriving business of buying, fixing, flipping homes. And so we're going to tap into his expertise, and we're going to get some real actionable insight. So please put your hands together. Welcome Frank to the show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Thanks for joining us. I appreciate you being here.
Yeah, no, thank you.
So let's just dive right in, I guess. Frank, give me a little bit of background. Like, how did you get into real estate investing, and how has your family's construction business influenced your approach to fixing and flipping or building your rental property portfolio?
Sure. So basically, the family's been in the construction industry for over 70 years. So when it's rooted in your blood, that's something that's always, it's something you have a passion about. So like anything in life, when you have a passion about stuff, you excel with it. And, as I grew through the business, I evolved into liking a passion for real estate. So they sort of go hand in hand because, seeing remodeling my whole life, the opportunity to be able to come in and expand on that in the real estate business was something I was passionate about. So I got my license and focused on, investment real estate. So that's how I started, was, just from the rooting of the construction and then evolving into the real estate aspect of it.
I love that. Definitely 70 years. That's quite a bit of history there. It feels almost like it was ordained for you to get into this business. Now, I know that a lot of people dream about getting into, flipping homes, but not everybody really knows what it actually takes to do it, right?
That's the truth. Yep.
There's a lot of misconceptions, and when it comes to flipping houses, I guess what are the biggest misconceptions that people might have that don't really know?
So, everybody watches TV. They see, the flip shows on TV, and they're like, oh, I could do that. It's it's the easiest thing in the world. And then, publicizing stuff on the television is a lot different than cutting your feet, and going into the house and doing the work yourself. So the big thing is every house tells a story. So when you pull up to the house, you have to have somewhat of a background knowing about every aspect of the home, starting on the outside, the exterior. You got to look at the windows. Does it have old aluminum windows? Does it have vinyl windows? Right there's $8,000. So, if the windows are vinyl, you save yourself there. The roof, you have different styles of roofs. Is the roof 30 years old? Is it an asphalt roof, single tab, or is it dimensional? Is it within the last 5 years? Well, boom, save $7,500. Is the house brick? Is it siding? Is the siding aluminum? Does it have asbestos siding? So there's so many things when you pull up to a house, you start checking the boxes.
It sounds like you've done this a few times.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Where it just comes natural to you. This is something that just through repetition. And it sounds like you're at the point where you just look at something, you automatically can put a price tag to it.
Yeah.
Which is nice. So when you're looking at a potential flip, what are the top 3 things that you're actually looking for in the property before making the decision to purchase it?
That's a tricky question because there's a lot of things that are crucial into doing a good investment with a house, but the main thing to focus on is, when you pull up to a house, curb appeal is crucial. Yeah. So, in the beginning, when you pull up to it, when you're buying it from an investment, you're probably going to want the ugliest one on the block. You know what I mean? You want to have something that's dilapidated because you always have to look for a value add. If there's an opportunity to add value to the property, then that value is going to reflect on your profit. So if you go up to a property and the property needs nothing to be done to it, there's not really an opportunity to make money with it. So typically you want to look at the curb appeal when you pull up. That's crucial. Mm-hmm. Once you get past that point, then you could go inside. Some of the things I've seen doing this over 25 plus years, you couldn't even put on, it's like, it's amazing seeing the clutter, if you want to call like the Hoarders episode. You get all that kind of stuff when
you've seen it all.
Seen it all. And that's a crucial part of the business is when things people don't want, that's what you want. So you're almost like a trash collector. It becomes, you're looking for the trash. You want the ugliest one on the street. that needs the most work, but then you can see the potential. So pulling up to the house, typically I'll look, is it brick or siding? Does it have, newer windows, older windows, newer roof? I go on the outside, you look at the pavement, the driveway, if it's cracked or not. Does it have a garage? Most people don't realize that if you have a house that doesn't have a garage, obviously it's going to be 10 or 15,000 less when you go to sell it. So once you check all those boxes, you're pretty much done on the outside. Then you can focus on going on the inside. Most of the houses we focus on are about 1,000 square feet. So there'll be ranches, bungalows. You can get colonials too, but when you have 2 stories, it's obviously more of an evaluation process.
So let's focus on that for a second. Is there a strategy behind why 1,000 square foot? Is that where you tend to make the quickest? Is it quickest flip, or is it the biggest margins?
If you were going to make it like a franchise, you go to McDonald's, you get a cheeseburger, it's the same every time, right? Gotcha. Well, they tried to make it the same every time, but right. It hasn't been the same lately. But for what we do is you try to do the same thing. 1,000 square foot house that's a ranch, say it be Redford, Garden City, Dearborn, it'll have older carpet. Most people don't realize you pull the carpet up, you have hardwood floors. Yeah. So that's a value add there, because then all you have to do is sand the floors rather than have to put new floors in. Yeah. But the market's always evolving now. People now are going to luxury vinyl. So then when you switch to that stuff, it doesn't matter if you have hardwood or not, because if you have plywood, you can put the luxury vinyl over there and you're good to go. So the market's always evolving. The trends are always evolving. We're here in your new office, and it's beautiful. The trends here, this is stuff that's futuristic. It's not something you see every day. So, you guys got to be very proud about that too. But the same thing in our business. Yeah. When you have opportunities to do the futuristic stuff, the luxury vinyl, that helps speed things up. It gives a good value. A lot of them waterproof now. There's a lot of opportunity in the evolving industry,
Yep. That makes a lot of sense. And what about when it comes to the biggest mistake somebody might make in renovations?
There's a lot. Typically when a lot of people don't know in the kitchens, when you have a soffit, if you have a 2-story home, yep, that's hiding electrical or plumbing. So they'll say, I want to make my cabinets go up to the ceiling. They rip the soffit out, and then they got a plumbing pipe there. So now they got to move that. Or, the big thing for us that I've over the years is we buy houses as is. Yeah. So, it's as is, where is. So we don't do any inspections on the sewers. A lot of times the sewer is a big thing. That'll run you $7,000 to $10,000. So if you want to get ahead of the curve, you can spend $500, have a guy camera the sewer. And if it's broke already, then that you're up against that expense, So that's a crucial thing too, because the inspection process, I do it myself, which a lot of guys don't because they don't have the knowledge, but spend the $500 or $1,000, get ahead of the curve, know what's wrong with the property, and always, always, always get a sewer line check, run a camera through it, because that's a big thing that a lot of people get stuck on. I think.
Is it typically sewer lines get clogged with roots and things like that? Is that the most
popular? And then a lot of the houses that we're buying are basically 50s, 70s, 60s, 30s
construction.
So the sewers have been the old Crocs. They're not PVC. So over time, it just deteriorates, so you're on the end of the life expectancy when you're buying that stuff.
Gotcha. So construction costs have gone up in recent years. That's no secret. What's your advice for investors trying to keep renovation costs under some kind of control, at least so they don't get wild?
The thing, the construction business, the contractors are all over the board. So you can have a price to sand your floors for $3 a square foot up to $7. So it just depends on who you have a relationship with, and when you build relationships with people, referrals from people that are in the industry, I'm always there. If people need help, they can reach out to you. We can give them the right information they need. The big thing is interacting with with people that are already in the business. Yep. So you can learn what not to do. So if they need construction trades, that kind of stuff, reach out to you, and they can give you that opportunity to be able to, give them the connections they need to go where they need to go for that.
Are there any specific home feature upgrades that give you the best return on your money?
It's back and forth, but kitchens and bathrooms are always the top, what everybody always say. Quartz is the big thing now. Back 10 years ago was granite. Everybody needed granite. Everybody's doing quartz. It constantly evolves and shifts. Flooring, we're talking about the vinyl. It goes from hardwood to carpet to luxury vinyl now. You have luxury vinyl in here. It's beautiful. And, it's the thing is just go with the trends. As the products evolve, so do the properties. So.
I gotcha. Okay. So how do you decide whether to flip a house or retain it and turn it into a rental property?
I have a lot of friends in the business. A lot of guys have looked at value adds, so they'll buy a property for a cheaper price, do all the improvements, get the higher price, and then they'll go to the institutional places like Kiabi and these places that'll offer an opportunity to refinance and give you 70 or 80% of what the future value.
Yep.
I've never really dived too deep into that. My focus has always been on buying and selling. So, I mean, if I do 70 or 80 houses a year, I'll maybe keep one or two as a rental. I don't really, a lot of guys, you talk to, I got 100 rentals or I have 200 rentals. To me, that's 200 headaches. You know what I mean? Because it's one of those things that, the opportunity is there. But I don't know, it's just, if you do the dollars and cents, say you make $300 a month off a rental with your mortgage payment and your taxes and your insurance, and you have, 12 months in the year, you make $3,600. To me, to have that investment as a long-term hold maybe might be smart, but if you're tying up $160,000 to make $3,600, it's not really that good of an investment to me. So I focus more on buying and selling, trying to keep the money moving, and that's what I focus on.
Okay. What kind of financing options are typically available for new investors looking to get into fixing and flipping?
So that's where the market's a little bit difficult to enter, because if you have no experience, nobody wants to help you. So you have to have a minimum. A lot of these institutional guys that do the private money, they have to have 3 to 5 houses that they have to see that you've already done. There's not a lot of guys that'll say, hey, I believe in you, I'll give you the money to do a house. So everybody's got to get their feet wet. Usually they start with friends or family. They'll loan them the money. They'll start with 1, be successful, use some of their own money, then do 2. And by the time they get to 5 or 6, then the institutions are like, okay, now we see that you've done it. We believe in you. So it's funny you say that, because my son and he did his first flip. He's 18.
Yeah.
And nobody would help him. So I had to help him. You know what I mean? He's my son. But
right.
He did one in Waterford, and he actually did really well. He acquired it for 109 and ended up selling it, I think, for 195. So when he's 18, man, he did it in 35 days. He did the floors, did the paint. He started a dumpster company, so he did his own demo. He has his own dumpsters. So I'm real proud of him. I mean, he's graduating. He's a senior in high school, and
18 years old, he
did his first house. Yeah, so
that's amazing.
Like I don't know what the commercial was back in the day, but if an 18-year-old can do it, anybody can do it. Right? You know what I mean? So.
Yes. So someone who's never done a fix and flip, what's the best way to start without taking on too much risk?
Mentor with somebody that's in the business, or you can reach out to a local realtor who's an investment real estate agent. I know you guys got people here at Empire that do investment real estate. So touch base with somebody in the business. Have them show you the ropes, and if they're willing to do it for you, that's a great opportunity, because you can see firsthand what's going on.
Yeah.
Don't put yourself in a situation where you can fail. You know what I mean? If you're gonna go do something, make sure you have a little bit of knowledge. And once you have the knowledge, you can grow with it, and things just evolve. And when I started in 08, that's the same thing. I was starting buying houses. 08 was like the worst time to start in this business.
That's when the market had crashed.
Yep. Cheapest house I ever bought was in Taylor. It was a bungalow with 3 lots. I bought it for $8,500, and it had 3 buildable lots. And I sold it I think a week later for $12,500. And I think I made $4,000. And I was so happy that day, because I thought to myself, man, I get to feed my kids. Everything's going good. I made $4,000. I was so happy, but when I look back, I was like, man, I was so stupid.
You've done so much more.
Because I could have kept it. You know what I mean? Rented the thing out for 20 years. Now they're selling for $200,000. You know what I'm saying? I could have sold the lots for $35,000 a piece. But when you're young and you're trying to make things happen, that's what. But you got to have a view of the future, what's coming. Yeah. So you're ahead of the curve. And then it's like anything else. I mean, when you predict, if you have 20 houses on the street and they all sell for 180 to 220,000, right, and you can acquire a house for 130 or 140 that's in a distressed state. As long as you know what you're doing, you really can't lose, because your benchmark's going to be 180 to 220. So as long as you have the right trades and you do things the right way, you got to be quick. Everything's quick. You got to be fast. If you could turn a house, we can turn a house in 2 weeks.
That fast?
Yeah. I just did one in Allen Park on Regina. We literally flipped it in 3 weeks, and it was 1,800 square feet, 4-bedroom house. Sanded the floors, put new vinyl in, painted the whole 9 yards. It turned out real nice.
Is the goal typically keep it under 30 days?
Yes, because then it takes, a week or 2 for it to go pending.
Yeah.
Then 30 days to get. Most people buy with a mortgage. That's 30 to 45 days.
Yeah.
So my investors, I try to turn 120-day time frame, from when we make the investment. So typically it's a 4-month process, and we try to cycle it 3 times a year. So.
Okay. That's some good advice right there.
Yeah.
Now, I'm sure you've done many projects, right? some projects don't always go the way you want them to, and there's headaches. Any particular crazy stories that you've got that have kind of just stuck with you?
I had one project that was probably one of the bigger projects that I've done in my career. And I had done a couple hundred houses, and it was a big renovation. It was in Cranbrook in Birmingham.
Mm.
And that one was one that was for the record books. I actually went and subcontracted out the second story because I put a dormer on it. And we were insured through Lloyd's of London. Birmingham is a very, influential area. It has a lot of high-end properties, and we were doing a high-end renovation. So basically my guys tore the roof off the house, and we're going to put a second story on it. Mm-hmm. And the inspection failed. So it was on a Friday, and they had to tarp the house. So you imagine a 2,000 square foot brick ranch house. Yeah. So I don't know why, but we had the most catastrophic rain that could ever have happened.
Of course.
So,
why wouldn't you?
Yeah. Then the tarp started to sag. So then the first floor was already done. So it was a unique situation. So that was a total loss. And
there's risks. No matter what you
for sure. But that, in all my years of doing this, that was probably the worst. But we came out of it. We ended up, it took a year because we had to fight with the insurance. And the thing is, the insurance never wants to pay, which is a shame. But it ended up working out in the end, and the property ended up turning out amazing. If you drive down on Cranbrook, you'll see it. It's on the left-hand side. It's right by Seaholm there. It's a big 2-story house. I'll show you a picture of it later on, but it turned out really, really good. And, it's the thing is when you have obstacles that come up, you just got to be able to overcome them. You know what I mean? And you got to fight. And as long as you keep fighting, you always end up, on top. As long as you keep at it, that's the main thing.
Sounds like you got to be resilient in this kind of line of
100%.
All right, so we're going to shift gears a little bit.
Sure.
It's time for one of our favorite segments. We call it Real or Ridiculous.
All right.
So essentially, I'm going to present you with a scenario, and then you're going to tell me if it's plausible. It could be a real scenario, or that's just ridiculous. Cool? All right. So here's the first one. You should always buy the worst house in the best neighborhood.
Real. We were talking about that earlier.
Yeah. So there's some truth to that. DIY renovations save you more money than hiring professionals.
I have a good buddy, Adam Helfman from Hired Done. He does pre-screen contractors. He's has his own radio show and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
He always says that's false, because he says, if you try to do it yourself, you end up doing something wrong, or ends up costing you twice as much in the long run. So
you kind of got to know your limitations.
100%.
Yeah. Wallpaper is making a comeback in house flips.
True. Seen it a lot.
I've heard this.
Yeah.
Oh, it is. So it really is coming back. Are they like floral patterns? Like, what are we seeing?
It's, it's different. It's based on the designer. The designers, put a lot for, the trends and all that. So it's basically following the lead of the, I was going to say, exactly.
If a house has, quote unquote, good bones, it doesn't matter what the inspection report says.
False. Because there's a code criteria book you have to work from that the state puts out, for the builders and stuff. But the city always takes their own interpretations on it. So if the city has a 10-page list, you still got to follow what the city wants. So, I was dealing with that this morning. I had a attached garage in a house on Sheridan in Garden City, and it's closing today. And they fire rated the wall with 5/8 drywall, but the inspector wanted to go another 4 feet on the rafters going up into the roof. So it's just interpretation. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, but in the end, they always win because they're the bosses. We got to follow what they say. So
I'd imagine working with so many different municipalities, but having the experience that you have under your belt,
sure.
Does that help you in terms of building relationships with these municipalities? And
well, they know you put out a good product.
Yeah.
So they'll look at you like the secretaries know me when I go in there to pull my permits, the inspectors. But they know me because of me, and they also know me because my family's Italy American construction.
Yeah. So,
my dad's been pulling permits for 70 years. So, the people change, the inspectors change, but, you got some old timers there that have been there a while. And, it's the old saying, when you see somebody every day and you see their product, they know that you're going to put something out. They don't, it's just one of those things that, it's good to know that you're putting out a good product and you're respecting the industry, because that's important. If you're putting out a bad product or people were saying, bad things about you, then it makes your life a lot more difficult. But when you go over there and, that's a nice thing to have a nice name and to have people talk highly about you.
So they know these things. Yeah. I mean, if you think about it, you're engaging with these different cities and with their regulations, and you end up building a name for yourself, as you just said. And so you want to get off on the right foot. You want to build a good reputation because it does actually help you out in the future.
Absolutely.
The last one, flipping houses is as easy as it looks as on HGTV.
False.
I think we kicked off the segment talking about that. How many times do you see people falling into that trap?
A lot, because the opportunity is to make a lot of money is there, but people don't realize it's like anything else. If you're starting a race and you got 50 people at the finish line, at the start line, how many people are going to finish? It's the people that are willing to run the race. And a lot of people, they see things, I can do it, but they never do it. You got to actually jump in and make it happen. So I think
that's great advice right there.
Yeah, the failure rate I think is probably 60% maybe. For people that are unsuccessful, but the 40% of the people that finish the race, they figure out how to do it. They make a business about it.
Back. So here's some closing questions for you, and maybe they're more like advice you can give to our podcast listeners. What's one piece of advice you would wish had someone had given you when you were just getting started out?
I think the business is more about volume. So you need to do a lot. In order to do a lot, you need to have a big bankroll. Mm-hmm. So the figuring out cheaper ways to access money at cheaper interest rates would be very beneficial. I have relationships that I've built over 20 years. Yeah. So my investors are, I call them, hey, we're funding a deal. Like I called the guy yesterday, JDK Properties, and I was like, hey, we have a deal closing tomorrow at 10 o'clock, and I didn't even talk to him about it. And he's like, all right, I got you. We'll fund it. So that's the thing. Like it
sounds like, again, it's building those relationships, having a reputation.
Sure. So when I was young, if somebody would have told me, I was focused on just trying to stay one or two with my own money.
Yeah.
And if I would have started bigger, being able to expand faster, and I think that would be one thing I would have changed, because I probably would have had a lot of opportunities to do a lot more. But I was always scared. Don't be scared. If you're good at something, excel and do the most you can.
Confidence is key.
Yeah.
What's next for you in your investing and construction journey?
So I've been doing this for 20 plus years, and I've seen the good, the bad, the positive. I'm actually creating a platform, and I'll give a shout out to it. It's called rocketoffer.com. It's going to be launched in the next month or so. Mm-hmm. And it's going to be basically a hub for everybody. If you're a realtor, mortgage guy, investor, individual, where you can come, and everything we pretty much touched on today will be inside the hub. So we'll have deals in there from wholesalers, where you can find deals if you want to do a deal that's, value add property. If you want to know about financing, we'll have all of our connections with all of our money guys, so we can introduce you and get you the proper funding. We have, construction database. I was talking about Hire It Done with Adam Helfman. He's going to be part of it. So all the pre-screen contractors will be in there. So we're basically going to take everything we just talked about today and streamline it and make it easy, so somebody can come off the streets, learn, 25, 30 years plus knowledge of being in the business. And it's all in one place.
Tell the people, what is it called again?
rocketoffer.com.
Okay. So that's coming soon?
It is. It'll be live probably about a month.
Okay.
That'd be, I'm going to be going around to all the brokerages and, talking about it and building it up. But,
Well, we're looking forward to seeing it. And maybe when it does launch again, love to have you back and maybe awesome. Talk about it and show us what the app actually
that'd be great. Like.
For sure. Where can people find you if they want to learn more or work with you?
You can reach out to your podcast. I don't really give my cell phone number out, but if there's somebody who wants to talk to us, reach out to the podcast. I'll be more than happy to talk with you and, help you with anything you need. I'm more of a private guy. I don't have a lot of social media, none of that stuff. So, I keep my stuff.
I can appreciate that.
Yeah, for sure. No, for sure.
Yeah. Frank, honestly, it's been an awesome conversation with you today. Very knowledgeable.
Appreciate it.
A lot of amazing insight. I know a lot of people out there are going to take away some valuable insight from this conversation. So thank you again for joining us today.
Sure.
Carving out some time for us.
Yeah, no, for sure. Thank you. Thank you. Thanks.
That's a wrap, guys, for this episode of The Real Deal with Empire. If you enjoyed the episode, make sure subscribe, leave us a review about the episode. Until next time, we'll see you then.